Have you ever seen an otter use a rock as a tool? It's not a scene you're likely to witness in the wild. But if you visit an aquarium or watch a nature documentary, you may have come across this curious behavior. In these instances, otters are typically observed holding rocks in their paws and smacking them against other rocks or shells. This may look like a form of play, and you'd be right on the money if you guessed that. But there's another good reason why otters engage in this activity. Let's get into it. First things first, why do otters need tools? Well, they don't really. Use of rocks as tools is actually an example of what's known as opportunistic behavior. In other words, otters aren't specifically going out of their way to find rocks to use as tools. Instead, they just happen to pick up a rock and figure out that it can be useful for cracking open a particularly tough shell. Otters are intelligent creatures with the cognitive ability to plan ahead. They also have excellent memories and can recognize individual humans by sight. So when an otter notices that a rock can help access a food source, they'll remember that for next time and may even return to a previously used tool. That said, if there's no rock handy, an otter will still happily crack open a nut with its teeth. And when a hungry otter really wants something, they'll bring the whole thing back to their den to gnaw on later. So while using a rock as a tool isn't a necessity for otters, it is certainly a handy thing to have around. But why exactly do otters need to crack open shells? Because they're little carnivores. That's right. Despite their somewhat adorable appearance, otters are bona fide predators. Depending on the species, their diet consists of fish, shellfish, crustaceans, and pretty much anything else they can catch and eat. And since many of these animals live inside hard shells or armor, otters need a way to break through the exterior to get to the tasty bits inside. Enter rocks. Rocks make great anvils because they're basically just lying around everywhere in most aquatic environments. Clapping a rock with a rock or a rock in a hard surface like a log or a shell is an effective strategy for breaking open these protective structures without hurting the otter's mouth or paws. The sharp edges of a rock are also useful for prying apart clams. And otters have even been observed using rocks to crack open acorns. Talk about handy. Now you might be thinking that this means otters are basically using rocks as nutcrackers. But that's not entirely true. While some species of otter have been documented using rocks to crack nuts, it's not a widespread practice among all otters. Instead, most of the time when you see an otter holding a rock, they're either going to use it as an anvil or to scrape algae off of rocks. Otters also like to keep a rock or two in their den, probably for defense. After all, they are more vulnerable when they're not in the water. Finally, let's not forget that otters are playful animals who like to toss rocks around just for fun. If you've ever had the pleasure of seeing an otter roll a rock over and over again in pure delight, you know what I mean? So the next time you see an otter using a rock, ask yourself this: does it need to crack something open, or does it simply want to play? You'll never know unless you ask. Just ask any otter. Speaking of otters, did you know there are 13 species of them? You can learn more about these amazing creatures by clicking here. And don't forget to subscribe so you can be notified every time we upload a new video. With that said, thanks for watching, and see you next time.